Funny Man.
And I'm Crazy Susie.
And we are in the Eyes of Terror. And it's that month again.
Ooh.
Boo.
A boo.
A boo. So get out your knives and carve yourself a pumpkin.
But we use butcher knives to cut.
Yes.
It's a universal tool.
It really is. Alright, so it's Halloween again. Yeah.
It is, but it's every day for us. So.
Nice, everybody else is on board now.
It takes a year for everybody else to catch up.
Yeah. The weather has finally become that Halloween weather.
I love it.
Yeah, the leaves are falling, the trees hopefully are not.
Yeah.
Yeah. Those beautiful colors. Spirits open.
That makes me happy.
Mm-hmm. And then, yeah. So we took the baby to Spirit a couple weeks ago.
Yeah. She was freaked out, and then she wanted to go up to the clowns after we got halfway through it.
Yeah.
She was like, "Look! Look!"
And then she told them goodbye as we left.
Yeah.
So.
But she pointed at everything and screamed, "Look!"
And
it was great.
Picked out a little clown girl outfit.
Mm-hmm.
She looks really cute in it.
Yeah.
All right. So you want to do what are we drinking?
I went to the gym today, so I'm having water.
Mm-hmm. So
really living on the wild side.
I did not go to the gym today. I played. I played the game of going to the gym. No, I went to the thumb gym. I played games today.
I leg pressed 120 pounds.
And I clicked R2s.
Whatever makes you feel good about yourself.
No, it's the weekend. I like to relax on the weekend, and the gym I go to is a little bit of a drive that I really don't want to make on the weekends.
Yeah.
So, anyway, so what am I drinking? I am drinking Highland Brewing, which is out of Asheville, North Carolina, which is not far from where we live. It is a Starchaser White. It's a bright citrus spice beer. Starchaser White, grapefruit peel, ginger, and coriander add a summer glow to this definitely layered white ale. So I have yet to drink all of my summer beer that I planned on drinking. So I haven't got any new fall beer. I was planning on doing this whole 6-pack of pumpkin beers. I just haven't had the time or money to go out and get some. So
yeah.
I'm just trying to drink what I have. Try to drink what you have before it gets bad, before you add to it, type thing. So hopefully this isn't skunked yet. But so it's 12 fluid ounces. It's 4.8% alcohol by volume. It comes in a can. The can is nicely decorated with stars and stuff like that. And this is a good brewing company I enjoy. So I like most of their stuff.
Oh, I'm drinking filtered water.
Pinkies up.
None of that tap stuff. No, filtered.
Our tap is really bad. So
Most are.
this is actually the first white ale I've enjoyed. You really lately I've been getting really into ginger. Ginger beers, ginger ale. I've been sort of in a whiskey mood lately too.
Yeah, 1.5 bottles in, I would say you've been in a whiskey mood.
Well, this summer I was in a gin mood, so this time I'm drinking Chattanooga whiskey. So
yeah,
and I suggest if you can find Chattanooga whiskey in your area, I enjoy it and it's on the cheaper end. It's good quality on a cheaper end. I might do a review later on of it.
if there's any left.
I'll just have to go out and get more.
Okay then.
So you can really taste the ginger and the grapefruit in it. There's not too much coriander. It's just the right amount. But the grapefruit and the ginger really come come together in this. The white is a nice base for it all because it's not overpowering like a darker ale, but it still had that creamy thickness that a normal ale does. So it's like a good alternative to IPA if you don't like IPAs. Let's get into the movie. The Pumpkin Carver, 2006. It is 1 hour and 27 minutes. We found this on Tubi and is rated R.
IMDb gives it a score of 3.3 out of 10, which is not very good.
I don't even know what the highest one we've ever done, but it was within the below 5s.
It was actually in the 6s. And you do know which one it was.
Was it Goosebumps? Twitchy, eye.
I believe that was 6.2 or 6.3.
Okay. But, I mean, you had the nostalgia factor in that. So.
It's for children.
Okay, but it's Goosebumps is a lot of people who are now in the horror community. It was the entry into it.
My entry into horror was not Goosebumps.
No, I'm not saying everybody's. I'm saying that, like, a lot of
My mother was a hippie that smoked every day of her life. She didn't care what I watched.
But not all parents are like that, babe.
So sorry that you didn't have that experience.
No, it's not that. It's just what I'm trying to get at is that it was an easily consumed without being too terribly scary. You know,
it was clean.
It was a clean horror, and the books were interesting for that time period.
Well, that's probably more of a factor that it wasn't just a show. It had interactive novels that went with it.
Yeah. Well, it was interactive novels then a show, but...
Sometimes.
Anyway, like I said, not everybody had parents like yours that, let them watch whatever. Very few that I know of actually did.
It was the 80s.
Well, yeah.
Car seats weren't a thing. Seat belts. Who cares?
I mean, I get...
Rub dirt in it and go on about your business.
I mean, I get
not
your...
bleeding to death. Nobody cares.
I get the argument, but I'm just saying... But it was that or, like, midnight horror movies. Like, late night TV special horror movies.
The first horror movie I was introduced to was Hellraiser. That's my experience. It's probably not the same as everybody else's, but...
And that's all I was trying to get at. Issues. So anyway, let's get into Pumpkin Carver.
The director is Robert Mann. The writers are Robert Mann and Sheldon Silverstein. That's a name.
Mm-hmm. Wasn't he the author of, like, Where the Sidewalk Ends? That was Shel Silverstein or something like that.
It was something along those lines. But that's a name. The cast is Michael Cera as Jonathan Starks, Amy Weber as Lynn Starks, Brian Carey as MIB-1, Brian Jamerson as MIB-2, David J. Wright as Alec/Pumpkinface, Terrence Evans as Ben Wickets, Jonathan Conrad as AJ, Jared Show as Grazer, David Austin as Lance, Misty Adams as Yolanda, and many more at imdb.com.
Okay.
And this film was released on Halloween in 2006. The premise of the film is it's Halloween in Westminster, and teenager Lynn Starks is attacked by a man wearing a pumpkin mask in the basement of her house.
So the person that did the summary only watched the first 5 minutes of this film.
I felt it was not the greatest, but when I first did the research, that's what I was given. And some of these films, that's really all you're given is just not the greatest. And
like I said, they watched the first 5 to 10 minutes of this film, and
maybe
that's how they read. Don't have time for this crap. All right.
They're like, good enough. Scratch. There you go.
You want to start, or do you want me to start? All right. We open up on children trick-or-treating, and a teen, Jonathan, is carving a pumpkin. The doorbell rings, and his sister, dressed in a pink robe and lingerie underneath, answers the door. Kids dressed as MIB agents, which they were very convincing. I mean, they had the lingo down. I mean, that's like the one part of this movie I really did enjoy was that scene. And then they leave, and she closes the door, and the doorbell rings again. She answers it again, and it's this guy dressed like a devilish biker comes in and gives her a hug and starts unrobing and grinding on her. And he pulls out a beer because, you know, he scored because the dude's like 30, but he was trying to be... he's trying to be a bad A. and then
he is a total douche.
Well, I'm not saying he's not. He starts getting a little handsy, and she decides to get dressed, and he starts screwing with Jonathan by spraying, like he was shaking his beer bottle up, he sprayed it on him.
He brags about his imported beer that is from Colorado.
Yeah, imported from Colorado beer. The tariffs on that, it must be so horrendous.
He then sprays it on her brother.
Yeah. You gotta love that Colorado beer. And then he proceeds to show Jonathan how he should truly carve his pumpkin by stabbing it multiple times. And then he turns around, burps in Jonathan's face, and, other douchebaggery stuff. And then he leaves, grabbing a handful of candies. And his sister is upstairs getting dressed. And this is where it sort of gets a little hazy. She doesn't like what she has. So she's deciding to get dressed by rummaging through boxes in the garage. And then a figure in a pumpkin mask shows up. And she thinks...
Dressed in all in black and a pumpkin mask. Okay. Pumpkin mask.
And she thinks it's Alex, who's her douche boyfriend.
Well, he comes in and locks the door behind him.
Yeah, well... She mocks the pumpkin-faced man, and he is not answering and locks the door. Then he starts attacking her. He throws her around a bit, and Jonathan comes with his knife and proceeds to stab him in the eye multiple times. The sister picks up the knife and finds out it's a goof knife, which is a retractable blade knife, and it was Alex all along. Sister freaks out. Cue the credits. During the credits, we hear the sister's 911 call and the police report, which is a clever way of giving, like, the aftermath of it. I thought that was clever, without having to go into too much juxtaposition of backstory of, like, what happened afterwards. Then, after the credits, we are driving down the road. 1 year later, the sister is talking about a party, saying she's invited a girl Jonathan might like, and then Jonathan starts staring off into the distance, and the sister says he needs to forgive himself about Alex and enjoy himself. Then they turn off the main road onto a dirt road into a town called Karver, which has like 800 people in it. They debate about where they were supposed to be going, and they almost hit a grumpy old guy picking up pumpkins that he spilt from his truck onto the road. Next we see a group of early 20-somethings playing teens. One is dressed up as a...
They do stop to help the grumpy old guy pick up the pumpkins.
Yeah. And he sort of gives directions to where they're supposed to be going.
Yeah.
And then next we see a group of 20-something-year-olds playing teens dressed as a dime store Austin Powers, including bad accents and comic routine. And he is filming 3 girls dressed up as the quote-unquote news Charlie Angels. And then the other 2 guys are generic pirate and dollar store Hulk. The whole scene is just pure cringe. And then the girls go away. The three girls that are talking about hooking up. Then Jonathan and the sister are arriving.
Her name is Lynn. Do you ever get to the point of her name?
Yeah, I do. Arrive at their final destination. Three people walk up to greet them, and Lynn goes away. Jonathan is unloading the Jeep, and then Jonathan is attacked by a pumpkin masked man. He finds out it was a illusion, but Jonathan meets the girl that Lynn is setting him up with. Next, we are with a group of two guys dressed in togas on razors and come and tell them how they set up everything in the most annoying way humanly possible. High squeaky, generic stoner type bull. Jonathan and Tammy, which is the girl that Lynn is trying to set him up with, go off to carve some pumpkins because there's nothing like last minute pumpkin carving in a field with a girl you just met.
They go to collect pumpkins to carve.
Well, they talk about carving them, and then they go collect them. And then they gather the pumpkins in the field. Tammy goes ahead of Jonathan so he can pick up the last big pumpkin. As he is standing alone, he hears his name spoken by a demonic voice. It keeps repeating Jonathan. He lifts up his shirt to reveal trick or treat carved into his stomach. He freaks out, and Tammy has already started to de-gut pumpkin seeds. She asks where the pumpkin is. He says that he couldn't find one, which we all know is a lie because they're in a pumpkin field.
It's a pumpkin patch, I believe.
Pumpkin patch field.
Field of pumpkins, pumpkin patch.
Yeah. They sit down and start talking when the two stoners come up and flash their pumpkin painted buttocks at them and start talking about. And then after that, they start talking about interests. We find out Jonathan likes to carve. Pirate guy comes up to them, makes a scene, and tries to claim Tammy again.
His name is Lance.
Okay. I just like pirate guy because these people don't matter.
It does mention his name because I wrote it down.
Yeah. Jonathan interrupts the forced kiss. Lance the pirate starts hitting him. After the confrontation, Jonathan thinks about skipping out, but Tammy doesn't want him to. That night, the party starts. Okay, we see Dollar Store Austin Power filming Slutty Charlie's Angel. She's getting a little heated and keeps teasing him, and he wants more, but she just wants him to film. He makes a move, he gets slapped, he leaves her.
She feels bad.
She doesn't feel bad. She's not happy that the camera's gone. She goes out and tries to find AJ or Austin, the Austin Power character. Says she's sorry. She returns to the car. She notices something is written on the windshield. It says, "Trick or treat, time to carve up something sweet." Then a knife-wielding hand cuts her cheek. She freaks out, tries to get out through the window.
Out the back hatchback window. I guess it rolls down.
And then the hatchback window rolls up on her, and the hand proceeds to cut her face some more. And yeah. And then the killer starts carving up her face. And we cut to Tammy carrying a jack-o'-lantern. The hot guy comes up and assists her. Next we see Jonathan carving more pumpkins. Mind you, this is in the middle of the night now. So they're carving pumpkins in the middle of the night, which is the safest thing you can possibly do. In the middle of a field. Next, we see John carrying more pumpkins when the old guy comes up from earlier, shows up and scares him by throwing a pumpkin at him and tells him he's a better carver than that, and then proceeds to be a walking advertisement for smoking.
Yeah, he's like, you smoke?
Yeah.
COPD.
You smoke? Let me light up another one. It helps with the lungs. Yeah.
Can't breathe anyway, might as well.
Then
Then he proceeds to tell Jonathan, doctors don't know nothing.
Yeah.
Then
He
he
didn't even rate that girl's kill. Where is it?
she doesn't die. She's not dead yet.
Okay.
And then he wants to carve them up, and then he tells him he is the owner of the land that they're on, and that he's been watching him carve, and that he can carve better, and invites him to his shop. Tammy and Hulk guy come back and see some pumpkins smashing pumpkins play. I wish. The old man shows Jonathan his workshop and gives him a chisel. Tells him about the land, which was an old riverbed.
You know this land? Good for carving and death and smoking.
And then he asks Jonathan, have you ever killed somebody? Proceeds to tell him about his own experience as a carver. When he was a boy, an old carver came, killed his parents, drank his dad's sour mash. First he hid, and then he used the same blade the man used on his parents to kill him. Then he tells Jonathan that the evil that lives inside carvers, and then he tries to get him to stab him. To get Jonathan to stab him. So he tells him about his lovely childhood experiences and how it's never screwed him up ever. Next, Jonathan is with the group, which are playing stupid games, like eat the bugs and drink this odd concoction that we don't want to know where it came from. Flesh cup. As the night carries on, Jonathan gets wrangled into the games and loses. The old guy is grinding something when the Hulk guy comes into the barn looking for Lance and AJ. He sees a jack-o'-lantern, makes fun of it for not being scary enough. Then Hulk guy sees something in the shadows, and it comes charging at him and pushes him onto a huge drill bit. So we get our first kill. And it goes through his stomach, and his innards spill out like pumpkin seeds. And this was completely unrealistic. So I give it 2 out of 5. Just because it was just so fake.
Hulk is holy.
And then the party continues with more drinking games. Tammy goes looking for Jonathan and comes to some barn, the same barn that the Hulk died in. She hears noises and goes to investigate, where she runs into Lynn. They continue their search and meet the old guy, which creeps her out. Then Jonathan comes up and gets her and tells her what happened, and she tells him it's all probably a joke. Then they have some quality time. He asks her if she believes in life after death, which is something you always ask on the first date, which is a no. The Tammy shows Jonathan the city lights make out a bit as the old guy watches and sharpens his chisels.
It's not chisels, they're blades.
No, they're chisels. They're pumpkin chisels. They actually look like wood chisels.
He refers to his tools as blades.
Yeah, well. The party rages on, and Tammy and Jonathan talk about his life. We find out his dad left and vanished, was never found, but he was an award-winning carver. Then Lance comes to crash the party. Then Jonathan hears the demonic voice again. This time his hands are carved, and the pumpkin-faced monster plunges out of a hay bale. The monster tells him he made a deal with the devil, and he is back from the grave, and gives him a few cuts across the face. Back at the party, the drinking and carrying on, when Jonathan gets Lynn, he tells her Alex is back. She tells him it wasn't his fault, and he calms down because he's all in tears. Everybody's at the table to carve jack-o'-lanterns. Lance and Jonathan sort of have a face-off. Jonathan wins the competition, and the old guy interrupts and says none of them are carvers, which is the greatest insult that no one ever heard of. The group starts worrying about Rachel, and Lance threatens Jonathan about his only allowed to win the carving contest. The two other angels go to find Rachel. They come across an outhouse, which you always open up. Always open up outhouses you just come across. I heard there's always surprises inside. There's treasures in outhouses.
I'll take your word for it.
And they open it up and reveal a newly faced Rachel. She had her lower nose and chin flesh removed, and then the other girls run away screaming. Now we get philosophical with stoners when the two girls come and get them and take them back to where Rachel was, but she's not there anymore. Then the girls leave, and it's all a joke between the stoners. Tammy confronts Lance and tells him it's over and just stop being a douche, which he can't because he is bred as a douche. The stoners find a pumpkin patch. One goes in to grab some, mind you, they are drunk and high to the sky to go grab some pumpkins, while the other one is standing on a tiller just pissing in the wind. And we get...
They don't make good choices.
And we get number 2.
Yep.
Someone comes up behind him and starts whacking him with various blades as he continues to piss. Then he gets beheaded. His head lands in front of his piss stream, and the body just keeps on doing what it's doing, as the head just it lands with mouth wide open. Golden showers and all. I give this a 4 out of 5. I don't know why. Just do.
It was pretty funny.
It was quite funny. Next, Lynn goes and investigates some silos because, you always go into silos.
You would.
No, I wouldn't.
You like silos.
I do, but they're dangerous. Next, Lynn goes and investigates some silos for everyone. As she looks around, a hand grabs her, and we find out it's Lance, and he gets a little rough. Lynn runs off. Then we see a light is shining in Lance's face, and a knife is plunged into him. And then we hear a scream, and Jonathan goes back to the old guy's workshop to find out that the blade he liked is missing. Tammy goes to her car to retrieve a flashlight. She walks around, sees a flatbed with trick or treat. It's time to carve something sweet, painted in red. Then a lit jack-o'-lantern.
So did Lance die?
Yes.
He was stabbed.
He was stabbed. So it was sort of lame.
So that was number 3. Number 4 is Rachel?
Well, we're getting to that.
Okay.
So, and we see that the blood's dripping on the pumpkin, and we see that Rachel has decided to dress up as a scarecrow. And then the pumpkin's masked guy attacks Tammy. She gets a few hits on the head with a
wood pallet? No, behind a wood pallet.
log. A log? I wrote a log. Then she runs away, getting tied up into some barbed wire, and she gets out and runs to a garage. The pumpkin mask is following her. She hides. He looks. Next, Lynn finds the scarecrow Rachel. Tammy decides to run when the pumpkin mask is on the other side, but gets trapped in a open bear trap that just was laying there. Because that's what bear traps are there for.
Yeah, well.
They have a pretty big mice problem. Big as bears. And then here's the scream, and goes to the barn. She finds Lance hanging out with his guts all out. So, yeah. Tammy gets caught by a pumpkin mask and stabbed. So, and really, it's not the way that they were killed. It's like how they were found that's more intriguing.
Mm-hmm.
Next, Lynn finds the garage. She investigates and finds a carved up Tammy with a candle in her mouth. Her face looks like a pumpkin. The old guy grabs her hand and says, I got you. And then Jonathan comes to the rescue with a pitchfork. The old man says,
What? You're gonna guard me up too? Really gotta get more cigarettes tomorrow.
They blame the old man for the deaths of their friends.
yeah. And he's like,
You need a blade. that has black juice in our veins. And the devil calls.
and Lynn accuses...
Black liquid runs, pure evil runs inside you, boy.
Marlboro's and the tall boy tomorrow. I'm looking forward to that.
Lynn accuses him of killing everyone. Lynn tells Jonathan to hold the old guy at bay as she gets the cops. As she calls the cops, flags them down somehow. I don't know. She says, I'm going to get the cops. I'm like, okay. And then the old man goes on about if he's going to carve him up like his daddy carved. And then a storm shows up. How convenient. Then he says, evil coming, and the corn fed it.
He says, the old farmer asked him if he was going to carve like his daddy carved. He says, evil is coming. You can feel it in your bones. The devil is inside. Your souls shall burn in hell, and my hands shall be forever washed. Death must die. Then Jonathan sees the old farmer as the pumpkin mask figure. He then tries to cut him. Jonathan hits him with the wooden plank. He holds up his knife, and a bolt of lightning shoots out. And
because that makes any sense.
and shocks Jonathan. That part, I was like, did that really just happen?
Yeah.
And you're like, let's go back. I was like, where the hell
But you missed it. Every time you read about the old man, you have to like hack up a lung.
Jonathan stabs him multiple times, thinking it's Alex.
So you're not gonna hack up a lung.
I'll end up having an asthma attack, and I'd really like to avoid that today. But it's the old farmer. They call the cops and find out the farmer had killed their friends. At least the tools of murder were in his room. They let them leave. They get in the Jeep, and there is a very well carved jack-o'-lantern and a bloody knife in it. Jonathan screams in pain multiple times as he thrusts his head from side to side, then turns into Alex and lunges at Lynn. And that's the end of the story.
Oh, you also forget something. That he does this in a parked car in front of cops when he lunges at Lynn with a knife. And then proceeds to drive off. Just...
They got plenty of bodies already to deal with. They ain't got time for that.
Nobody got time for that.
Nobody got time for that. This is more paperwork. It's a popo. They got donut breaks to worry about. No, man. Did you see that? No. That's for the next town to deal with.
Yeah. That's not ours. That's not our problem. I'm on government time.
They're driving off, man.
We're on government time. I didn't see crap.
They were busy. They were doing their job. They don't care about that.
They're doing their job. They're doing...
Whistle, whistle, whistle.
So, did you get those pumpkin crawlers I asked for the other day?
It was hair crawlers.
I know.
They're like sponges.
Alright.
What's your scar?
What's yours?
I asked you first.
2 out of 5.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Why?
Okay. Usually we go because you're you're usually lighter than I am on stuff like this, but the pacing of this film left a lot to be desired. For most of the part, it was boring, with little action and some speculations. Towards the end, it felt rushed, and what was up with the lightning and the storm? The whole Alex taking over, I know he was a douche, but a killer and revenge is one thing, but murder? The only enjoyable part of this film was the old guy and his crazy character. It would be a better film if Alex was a personality, not a possession. I expected more with a tagline like, every face is a work of art. More killing, crazy madness, actually carving up, like seeing the faces carving up and stuff like that. Overall, is lame.
Yeah, I mean,
Just
they
a
could
lame
have
Halloween.
had him carve up people's faces in a pumpkin and then transfer that person's soul into the pumpkin.
And then there was one thing that was just glaring at me the entire time was referring to this carving, being a carver. And not ever expanding on what that meant. Like, we were all supposed to know what being a carver, like, being a carver is synonymous with killing. I'm not quite sure what the old guy was trying to get at. Why would he make an entire town about carving? I mean, so are there mass graves in this town? I mean, is, like, the population dead? Because, I mean, none of the whole carving aspect...
Who knows? Because I don't.
No, but that's part of it. It's like you kept referring to this one thing, never expanding upon it. And then it's like it sort of hinted that his dad was a killer because he was a carver. Well, so like I said, so is being a carver synonymous with being a killer?
You have to assume as much.
I guess. I felt like there was a lot of potential here, but nothing came about. And the whole lightning thing, like the whole supernatural aspect at the end, I hated.
I wanted to like this film. I really did. You see, I marked scores out because I really wanted to give it more. But I couldn't.
I know.
I couldn't do it.
Like I said, it had potential. It just fell flat. So what's your score?
A 3 out of 5.
Wow.
I was going to give it a 3. First, I was going to give it a 4 out of 5, and then I couldn't do that. I was going to give it a 3.5 out of 5, and I couldn't do that. I gave it a 3 out of 5. I really wanted to like this film.
Okay.
I really wanted to. I said it was okay. Character names were forgettable, and development of some were little. The lightning bolt out of the knife and coming back from the dead, it wasn't explained well or at all. Details are fuzzy at best. The jacket of the film and graphics made you think it was going to be a much better film than it actually was.
I completely and utterly agree with everything you said so far.
There are parts of it that are so stupid that make you just want to turn it off and question, why am I doing this to myself?
I completely agree to that one too.
We do this for you. We really do.
No, we do it to torture ourselves. We just podcast about it because we're those people. We would have watched this anyway.
We love horror. We do that. We do this and we share it with you guys because we love horror. Sometimes we choose things that we end up suffering through, but Yeah. We do it for the laughs, and hopefully you guys enjoy it and then don't have to suffer. But, what can you do? And as always,
Is that it? I thought you had more.
view this film before you allow small children to, because, rated R and all. That's all, because I just cannot. No.
So like I said, so it seemed like it changed directions halfway through towards the end of the film with the whole possession thing. Like they were acting like it was a personality. Like, he was seeing things, like the carving and his... So I was really hoping it was a personality thing. Because he felt so guilty that douchery became part of his personality. And then, like you said, the whole lightning thing. What was that about? I mean...
I guess because two different people wrote it, one person took half the film and the other person took the other half, and they just kind of tried to super glue it together, and...
Yeah.
I guess the glue wasn't strong enough.
I guess. I don't know what happened. It just, like, they had 1,000 different ideas throughout. But like I said, it was, like...
I bet their head was so full of scabs and raw after they got done scratching it so much.
I don't know.
I bet their dermatologist was furious.
I mean, I'm glad we didn't spend money on this movie. Because we were planning on doing this one last year. And we had it on Prime. They had it on Prime for a while. And then you took it off right before we got to watch it. And I was thinking about buying the movie.
That would have been an ugly worded letter situation. I would have hunted those two people down. Yeah. And...
I mean, to me, there's really not much redeeming about this film. That's why I'm surprised.
It's upsetting.
That's why I'm sort of surprising you give a 3, because the 3 is sort of like a middle of the road. It's okay to watch, but really, it's just...
We've seen worse.
We've seen better.
Yeah. I must have been in a giving mood.
You must have been. I sure as heck wasn't. Like I said, there were just parts of it that really just pissed me off, and a lot of it was like the whole carving thing, the whole like referencing something that doesn't ever get fully explained. And I don't want it smacked in my face. I just want some sort of explanation.
Not just accept it. This happened.
And then like the old man runs out there like, none of you are carvers. Like, that's supposed to be some insult. I'm surprised. If it was me, if I was writing it, I think I would have added, like, who was that guy and why do I care? Like, somebody should have said that. Felt like that would have been better. I tried to like this movie too, but it didn't happen. And like I said, the jacket, like you said, the jacket was far more intriguing of a film than the actual film. And then, like, the Austin Powers gimmick got old quick.
I had hoped he would be the one that died.
I know, right?
Too bad.
I was hoping he was the first one to die, so we didn't have to listen to it. I sort of hoped the Hawkeye would have lived a little bit.
Seemed like a pretty decent dude.
Yep.
He just wasn't smart.
But, alright, is that it?
Yes.
So be safe out there, and
happy haunting.
Scary later.
Bye.
Bye.